Welcome to Riverbend Talent on WBGZ, brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Riverbend Talent on the Big Z. I'm Dennis Pigpen.
I'm here.
Yep, still quarantined. We're recording this one beginning of May. Isn't it like May 7th? And I expect it will air about 2 weeks from today, roughly. So, what do we got tonight?
Brought to you by Halpin Music and Matt Van Voorhis from Macias Insurance. We're going to introduce you to Butch Moore. If you don't know Butch, how you doing, Butch?
Doing good.
Butch, I first met Butch up at the Stagger Inn, up there with Graham Pagano doing an open mic night. He introduced me to Butch, and I got to see Butch play. and I've been up there back a few times since then, but in addition to being a musician around the area for so many years, that's kind of been your mainstay, the Stagger Inn. 35 years of running an open mic night there, right?
Yep, every Sunday. I mean, I've had other people fill in for me and stuff. I haven't been there every Sunday, but the steadiest gig, I guess. I'm actually now the oldest guy in the bar on a Sunday night, so it's kind of cool.
It's got to be kind of a record for folks we've talked to, Pigpen, for a steady gig. I think maybe Jay Christopher might be the one that tops that. I can't remember how long his was that he had down there on the landing, but yeah, 35's right up there. It's got to be at the top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but that's pretty. Now you did some Wednesday nights too, right? It was Sunday and Wednesday.
Stagger Inn does have an open mic on Wednesday night, but it's Marcia and Mike that hosts that one.
Gotcha.
I got to make it. Started it years ago, but then Marcia and Mike took over. I don't know. They've made it at least 20 years. I don't know.
Wow. I've never made it on a Wednesday. I'll have to make it up and meet Marcia and Mike.
Yeah. They do a good job too.
Nice. So 35 years of running an open mic night at the Stagger Inn. Now, first of all, for anyone who hasn't been to the Stagger Inn, I personally love the way it's set up. You walk into the bar, and you're in the bar. So people are drinking, people are laughing, people are talking and joking and all that. But you go through another set of doors, and you're in the listening room, what I call the listening room. And all the laughing and joking goes to a low murmur at best, and people are there to listen to music. I love the way that's set up. The one next to the pageant is now set up like that. The Delmar Hall, it's huge, and it's still set up that way. Yeah. Put the people drinking in the bar in one room, and put the people listening to music in the other. You get to hear the music so much better that way.
Yeah, the Stagger, it opened up in '74, and the original bar was just that one side. And, where the archway is, that was opened up, I guess, late 70s. But the side where I played music at used to be a motorcycle shop. And they used to sell Triumph and Norton dirt bikes and stuff in there. And there's still parts, like bike parts, down in the little crawl space underneath our area. And then when because we used to play Stagger on the other side, we used to set up where the kitchen is at, and there also was a little stage as soon as you walked in that we would cram on this as soon as you walked in the door by the shuffleboard and stuff. And I played in about every corner in that bar, it seemed like. And then when we started open mic night, we actually used to set up in the window on the big side.
Wow.
So yeah, that was kind of cool. And the stage where I'm at now was half the size, and a bunch of musicians. When Randy bought the bar, we said, well, let's build a bigger stage and face it where we can do it the way that we did and kind of play both rooms, and a little better. But I call it the acoustically perfect Stagger Inn because it's a pretty good sounding room on that one side. And, so
yeah, very nice sounding room. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so 35 years. I imagine you've seen a lot of musicians from our area get their start right there at the Stagger Inn, huh?
Oh yeah, I've seen through the years. Like I still have my book of people that played through the years and stuff. I go back and who played on what date, and it's just kind of crazy. I look through them and I miss all the folks that have come through. Marty White. Wine Coop from Alton used to come over, and great slide guitar player. We've had musicians that Greg Silsby, when he was pretty young, come up and play, and just a wide variety. I mean, Don Starwalt always used to help me out, always supported us, and he had just recently passed this year, and then just some really good musicians. And also what's kind of cool with being connected with SIU, I've had people from Iran and from Spain and England and stuff come up and play, and I used to jam with these, Forshiko, oh God, I don't know, a bunch of great musicians that we used to jam with. Like I say, there's so many people that have played it, it's overwhelming, it's kind of a blur, I think, almost, I don't know. But it's been fun.
Now, in the 35 years, you're in a college town running an open mic night. I mean, you're going to see a lot of great musicians. There's a lot of music students up there. There's a lot of people who just want to pick up a guitar. I'm sure, though, there's got to be some lulls. Like has there ever been a time period where you thought, wow, the music is just so bad, I wish I wasn't? Because 35 years, you've seen a lot of music come and go.
Not really. I mean, it's different. It's different every Sunday. I think that's the one thing I kind of like about it. I mean, there's sometimes that some musicians that come up and go like, oh shit, I got to deal with this again, But it's, but the thing is, I'm there. Like I say, I'm not there to. It's not American Idol. Music isn't a sport. We're not competing. And like I said, I encourage people to play music. And it used to be that when the Gong Show was on, I remember people, where's the gong? It's like, well, you know what? If you think you can do better, you get up and do it. And that was my opinion. And I've actually had to have. I remember in the 80s, some people were kind of rude. I used to have to go out and like, please be quiet. If not, you guys can leave and I'll have these guys come back. And actually, it used to kind of make me mad. I would make them play a little longer because I knew it was upsetting. So it was kind of stupid. But it was, I don't know. And the thing is, I've always, like I say, I feel like Johnny Appleseed. You plant a seed, positive seed, and let these people grow. Who am I to judge? I mean, I'm not in any position to judge anybody. This isn't a competition. It's not a sport. I'm not competing against any other musician out there. And I don't want them to feel that way either. So that's the way I run it. And my job is to make them sound good. If they're like I said, if I have to, I'll tune their guitar. I'll say, hey, by the way, microphone, sing in here. This is a directional mic. You got to hit here because I can only adjust so much on a board. You can't stand a foot away from a microphone and sing, expect me to get a good mix out of you. So it's positive criticism, and it's not to belittle anybody at all.
Well, I think that's a big part of an open mic for anybody who's starting out, is just getting the feel of what it's like to be on stage. And in a situation like that, you're a little more relaxed your first time because, it's an open mic and you can kind of rely on the fact that it's that thing. You know what I mean? And just go out and try to do your best and learn from that experience.
Yeah, it's like I say, I always encourage everybody to come back. And try to get everybody. You have a lot of people that want to play, and it's scary. Some people are scared to death to perform in front of people, and like getting them, they'll think, man, I want to come up and play. I say, just do it. We only know 2 songs. I say, good, do 2 songs, and then you come back the next week. You can do 3 songs or 4 or whatever. But if you get them out of the bedroom or off their couch and stuff, but it's a big burden that they release from there. It's like, I did this, so I'm able to do this again. And I mean, and one thing with playing music, I get nervous every time I play music anyway. I've been playing 55 years. I have to. It's stupid. I don't know why I do, but I sometimes I freak out. I just like major anxiety attacks. I still do. I go to the bathroom 5 times in 4 minutes before I get played. But I still do. But it's just part of playing. I don't get it. You know,
That's good. That's good. I like that you get people out that haven't been out because it gives them the bug. You know, they get it in them. I absolutely love what you said about the no competition. It's not a competition. We're not trying to win here. You brought up the 80s, man, the like late 80s, early 90s. Everything was a battle of bands. Why are we battling? Let's just hang out and have a good time.
I had musicians come in that were really saying some pretty rude stuff, you know, and I actually had to tell them I didn't want them coming in, you know, and these guys were really, really good, but they were so arrogant. Because I remember when I started doing it, I remember one guitar player that was, I won't mention his name, was in town. He goes, I can make you sound better. It was that he sitting in with me and playing his stuff on top of me singing. I just like, and I finally got to the point and said, I this is the music I do. This is what I play, and this is what I'm going to do. And I finally, I think he probably made me, really get over my fear, of me just playing what I play instead of getting nervous when I see another really good guitar player in the crowd. I just be yourself, you know. That's what I can do. And I'm not say if they want to criticize, that's your choice, but it doesn't bother me. You know, even to the day, it's like, I'm going to play what I know. And hopefully I do it better than I did it the week before, the week before that. You know?
I never really mind when somebody criticizes me when I'm on stage, but I hate to see somebody criticize another person on stage.
Yeah,
I don't mind it because it's whatever, but I hate it when I'm in a crowd and somebody's really trying and putting their heart out there on the line and people are giving them credit. It's like, man, you know, how about a little attaboy, you know, but something just struck me in my mind. You said this a few minutes ago. You said you still have the names of the people who play this. So when I walked in on Sundays and I put my name on a sign-up sheet, you kept all those sign-up sheets?
Oh, yeah, I've got them. I still have all my gig books from the 80s of where I played and stuff, like my little calendar books, and I'll come and I have them in boxes, and you know, I don't know where they're always at, but I always come across there. Look, I look who played, and yeah, I still have all that stuff.
Wow,
unless my wife threw it away, thinking, "What?"
That's fucking right. Well, that's why you don't know where they are right now, man.
Pretty much, it's like he doesn't need this. This says 1992.
That's a long time to keep, you know, gig lists and sign-up sheets from an open mic night. But that's pretty. You could take all those open mic sign-up sheets and just make your own little book. Here's everybody who's played the Stagger Inn.
Well, it used to. I used to always did a lot of recording. I probably have over about 150 cassette tapes that I recorded on cassette. Then when mini discs came out, I probably got 50 to 75 mini discs, and then I got a CD burner, so I hooked it up to the board, and I've got probably another 50 CDs that I was recording, and then now I need a techno kid to tell me how to do it where I can get something. Because CDs, my kids call my techno dad for a reason, and I need somebody to help me figure out how can I record other stuff to my iPad. And I guess now, unless I do it through a Facebook Live or something like that, but I really probably the last close to 10 years I don't record as much as I used to. You know, because I hauling the CD player out and everybody's, you know, not really into CDs anymore. But I have all these people that I actually have them organized in the years that I recorded on my cassette tapes, and I actually would like to go through, because I saw something that you can get this little thing and hook it to a cassette deck, and you're able to record stuff to an iPad, so I can get like a music stream of people from the 90s and stuff like that. So that's a plan. Being quarantined, I've been bored. You know, how many times can I clean the house? You know, so it's nuts. So I need something else to do.
For folks just tuning in, we're talking to Butch Moore. He's the open mic night host on Sunday nights at the Stagger Inn in Edwardsville. and he's been doing it for 35 years. Man, just thinking about all those magic moments, and now you just told us you've got some of those magic moments recorded. For the folks who don't quite understand an open mic night, musicians volunteer their time, right? They're not getting paid; they're just getting the opportunity to play. Yep. But it leads to bigger things. There are paid gigs at the Stagger, right? And some of those guys have went on to get the paid gigs, right?
Absolutely. I'm now booking the happy hours up there, which I've been doing probably for the last, I guess, I don't know how long I've been doing that, but, people that come through, I book them happy hour gigs, and we, I guess about 2 years ago, started having happy hour not only on Friday, but also on Saturday. So that gave me, 2 nights a week that were from 5 to 8, and somebody really like, and what's kind of cool with the open mic, because people that travel through, they Google search like open mics in the St. Louis area. And I have people like bands that come through, well, we're off the night, they're traveling through. They'll come and play a night, and then Janet and Bree, when they book the bands, and they'll come back and then on their next tour, and they'll book them so they get an extra stop. It might pay their gas or a hotel. You know what I mean? They'll get a little extra than something. So, and so that we do that. And then also, I have had it worked out because I also book music for the Goshen's Farmers Market. I've been doing that since the beginning of over 20 years on Saturday morning. So some people are like, well, I have a Friday night gig here, and they'll do a Saturday, and then they'll play a Saturday afternoon at Stagger. So these guys are happy as heck, like earn a couple $100 extra bucks, so
right.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
And when I talk about magic moments, there are nights when you're there on a Sunday and a guy walks in that nobody's heard of and just gets up there and blows the lid off the place.
Absolutely.
And, sends chills up your spine.
Yeah.
So tell us about one or two of those. You remember a guy that just walked in that you didn't know, and then, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I met a guy that we're actually now friends on Facebook. His name is Steen Slidman, and he's from Norway. He came in, and he was at the bar, like he was there about an hour before I even got there, I'm sitting in the bar drinking, and he goes, I play slide guitar, so, I do the first set, and we ended up, come on up and just play, and nailed it, playing the blues, so it was fun and stuff like that, and there's some musicians, like they come in, it's like, man, these guys, they're good, they're really, really good pickers and stuff. So, but he really stands out. We always talk about like if I need a trip to Europe, I would like to go and just hang out over there for a month or something. And kind of that was my plan after I retired, and I've always booked a bunch of gigs working full time. I retired a year ago, March, on my birthday, which was March 15th, and I ended up playing Stagger and Happy Hour, which happened to be a Friday, but I played 5 gigs that weekend on my retirement weekend, so.
So retirement, yeah.
Yeah, but from March 15th to the last March 15th, I played 156 gigs.
Wow.
So it's.
And in 55 years, can you remember 55 years ago what got you started in all this?
Well, I mean, pretty much. I was 13 when I started. I'm 68 now, and it's. It was mainly the Beatles, that got me really going. But I mean, I was into. My first musical influence really was Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, the singing cowboy stuff. That when I was in first grade, my mom would get me up at 7 because Gene Autry's show was on. He'd sing a guitar and riding a horse. I thought I always wanted to be a cowboy, and play a guitar. And then also my mom always listened to Hank Williams and stuff, so she always sang country songs, Ray Price and stuff like that around the house. And then when the Beatles came out, and my sisters were into Elvis and all that stuff, and Ricky Nelson, and they're a couple years older than me, and we would pretend we were you guys, there was something called Ted Mack Amateur Hour, which was like an open mic in the 50s and 60s, and it was a crowd theme clapping, and the meter would go up who won the contest at the end. They had all these acts. We would play Ted Mack Amateur Hour, and in my bedroom I had like a little bitty bed, which was always the stage, and my dad would give us make a yardstick, put a little guitar shape, so I pretend I was Ricky Nelson or whoever, or Elvis, and I always was the one that always had to perform. My sister's like, yeah,
Hey, let's watch the clap-o-meter, it's going up.
I know, I was stupid. But then when the Beatles came out, I saw Hard Day's Night at the Wildey Theater, well, actually that Sullivan show, when they were on there, it was like, I am hooked. And then, they came out before I was 13, because that was in '63. But it was then I ended up really wanting a guitar, just die hard listening to the Beatles over and over. And it seemed like every 4 months they came out with a different record, and everybody in our subdivision, it's like, man, it was like we would listen to it over and over, and knew the words, at the end of the first day of every song, and then. We were putting in it was between, I guess, 8th and 9th grade that we were putting lateral system in our sewer system at our house. So my dad's buddy had a backhoe, dug a trench, and they loaded a bunch of rock. And he said, well, I'm at work. I'm going to take the wheelbarrow and fill the trench full of rock I forgot how deep. But we went down to Grandpa Pigeon's store to buy all the sewer pipes. And right next to where all the sewer pipes were down in Fairmont City was the music section. Mm-hmm. And there are guitars here, sewer pipes on this wall, and guitars here. So we'd have to go down there every day to get something, And my dad would get sewer pipes over, like, I want this red and black. Well, they had a guitar there that was the teardrop shaped guitar like Brian Jones had from the Rolling Stones. That was like $34.95, really expensive. And I kept like hammer, like, after about 2 or 3 days of moving rock, I said, I'm not doing this for free. You're going to buy me a guitar after this is done. And then we got everything done, and then my dad goes, let's go. I go, where are we going? We're going to Grandpa's. I thought we were finished. And then my mom was with us, so they go, okay, you get to pick out a guitar. And the guitar I wanted was the teardrop shape, and somebody had just bought it the day before. Actually, that was $29.95, and the guitar I have is shaped like a Fender Strat, had a whammy bar, and called a St. George Crusader, and it was $34.95, and I'm like heartbroken. My guitar is gone, and I said, I like this guitar, but it's $34.95, and the guy goes, I'll let you have it for $29.95, so I got it. Nice. And I was like off and running. I looked like George Jones with a flat top, at the time. It was awesome. First picture of me with a guitar. But I started a band, as soon as I got home, because a kid in our subdivision played a guitar for 4 years already, Mark Carpenter, and he was pretty good. He was really good. He was doing all this Chet Atkins, like crazy stuff. It just really cool, He and I started, and I always sang, so and then I ended up getting 2 Beatles songbooks, Mel Bay chord book, and a Mel Bay book to teach me how to read notes. And then my sister gave me this, it was like a family sing-along book that had like Alley Cat, Oh Susanna, You Are My Sunshine, all these songs like that basically were basic chords. So I memorized every simple chord that I could. And I'm singing, I didn't care if I'm singing Oh Susanna, You Are My Sunshine, just to get the thing together. And then they had the chord charts with the Beatles songs. I'm going like, holy crap, It took me like 4 years to learn the F chord, because I avoided having B flat forever. But it was just stupid, But I got it all together. But I just started singing and playing like right off the bat. But I'm sure it was rough, but I didn't. But my voice made my guitar had to keep up, so that was the thing. So, I practiced different ways of like single strum to F, C or G, whatever, G, D. But I would get up before school and practice. Or if I went to school, as soon as I got home, I would practice an hour, and then I would or longer, and I would pick it up for 15 minutes before I went to bed, and I would practice an hour. But I was like, once I started, I never stopped.
Nice.
Yeah, so formed some bands back. I guess formed some bands back in high school, and then after high school, you continued playing.
Yeah, my first band was called the Pipe Dreamers, which was something we went through a dictionary and found out, looking for cool names, and I found out it meant that people that smoked opium.
Yeah.
and my mom didn't like that name. I didn't know. I thought the Pipe Dreamer sounds pretty cool.
It sounds great.
Sounds great. And then another stupid. Then I started getting into folk music, I guess, with Bob Dylan stuff and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I remember that the Kingston Trio and that type of stuff, and just you coming around. And when I was in high school, because I was singing like all the choir stuff, I was singing church choir and was in choir in junior high, and through high school I was in a cappella and the madrigals and all that stuff, and started a group where there was 4 guys and 4 girls, and we called ourselves the 8 Balls, which was really stupid.
Hold on.
I know, that's what I said. I did like, but we were thinking that, like, oh, there's 4.
Well, first band is the Pipe Dreamers. Next band is the 8 Ball. What's going on, Butch? Come on.
I don't know what's wrong. I know, it's so stupid. I don't get it.
That's great.
That's fun. Oh, that's good stuff.
So yeah, that's a lot of studying then on your own, and then with the choir and different things, you're learning how to build chords and stuff like that, and read music there.
Yeah, totally.
So you're pretty well schooled as a young kid, and then I guess you just took off into the Americana and folk type stuff, I guess.
Pretty much. I mean, I've always been open-minded about music, because I mean, when I practice now, I mean, I still practice guitar stuff, and I get in stuff like I want to learn blues licks and do the blues and try to do some reggae stuff, and then original, and I like also doing traditional country music, Hank Williams to old Jimmy Rogers and stuff like that, So and I get in like. And sometimes when I practice, I call it tinkering. I'll just stay there and I'll go through a couple licks and just let it go and see what happens out of them, and kind of go with the flow.
You basically made a living from just music, or did you do other things along the way?
I did a lot of other things. I mean, when I started, I've always played music. Once I started, I can remember our first, like, I think the Pipe Dreamers, I think we were getting maybe $15 for 5 of us, maybe $30 for a gig. And then, but through college, I always played, well, coffee houses, we always played free. SIU had an open mic that played, but we played, like, I was playing on a circuit like McKendree College, Washington University, and SIU, where they would pay us. And Ron Dillo and he and I had been playing together since high school, and he still plays slide guitar with me on. But we would find gigs, and we also played a lot of house parties that we would get maybe $50. So I knew that I had to do a day job, and because when I was in college, I had 3 jobs plus playing. At one time, I had 26 guitar students, and
wow,
so it's just, I always worked. Once I started playing, I never stopped. But I quit college, I quit relationships, I quit jobs, but I always played my guitar. And I still
like a musician's life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, So, and it's when I was welding in the factory, I went to trade school. I took off and moved to California after college, and then when I came back, I went to Jackson Trade School, learned how to do welding. Did that for years, and then, but I was still playing music about 5 nights a week, and worked 7 through 30, and I was playing bluegrass and folk music with Don Starwalt and John Pavlik, and this was when disco was real big. But we were playing all this folk bluegrass kind of blues stuff, and we were booked all the time. all the time because it was so different than disco. You know, all through St. Louis, we played every bar in Soulard, Central West End, you know, and then Don Starwell and I used to play at Stouffer's 5 nights a week. And then when the St. Louis Cardinals football team was there, we would play Sunday afternoons after the Cardinal football games at a little bar I think was called Wild Willie's. And they were paying us really good. We were making $500 a week just playing there, you know, so that was pretty decent money, you know, for music, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
For us it was because, you know, a piece, you know, so it was pretty cool.
That's a good extra shot of income right there.
Exactly. And then, you know, I waited tables at Stagger, but I always was playing music 4 to 5 nights a week. And then through the years, I've always kept on playing. I got into environmental consulting in the late 80s and did that until, probably 2009. And then I started working for a law firm. And I worked for a law firm until I retired. And I traveled all over the place, you know, with the law firm. I dealt with people that were exposed to asbestos and had mesothelioma. Mm-hmm. So I was an investigator, you know, kind of built cases. A great place. It was hard quitting that job because I really enjoyed what I did. Recover money for.
Was that with John Simmons?
No, it was with the Monty, Rako, Hartley, French, and Mudd law firm. But a lot of those guys were from John Simmons' firm. Yeah, John's a really good guy too.
He is. He actually hosted a show on our station for a short time. People don't realize it. It was this a country gospel show that he DJ'd for a while.
Yeah, my wife used to be his paralegal, and that's how I met John. And then attorneys that worked with John branched off and started their own firm. But it was, you know, I was working. It was rewarding, but it's really depressing. You know, it's just horrible.
Since retirement, though, it's exclusively a musician.
Yep. Yeah.
And play more than just a Stagger Inn, right?
Oh yeah, play. For what I've also started, I play a lot at the Broadway Oyster Bar in St. Louis. I'm there usually twice a month, and then I played at the winery at Shell Lake up in Williamson, which is a little winery out in the country by Staunton and Livingston. Actually, the town's called Williamson, but Livingston's there, then Williamson and Staunton. I've been there since they've opened. They've been opened at least, we're there every third Saturday, and we've been there for 10 years. I work with a bass player. Alan White's my bass player. He and I been playing there, and play at Copper Dock Winery in Pocahontas, and we do play Grant's Farm, which is a great gig. Every year I also do the Festival of Nations that they have in Tower Grove Park, you know, which I'm on the world folk stage for that, and that draws about 200,000 people through the weekend. You know, it's a big deal, really fun, great sound crew, and played Big Daddies, you know, in Edwardsville, and I also started we played a couple shows at the Wildey Theater, and I've been hosting an open mic every it's first and third Tuesday at a place that just opened about 5 years ago called the Recess Brewery in Edwardsville. And so we've been doing that. You know, it's an early hour gig too. It's like we start at 7 and we go till 10 or 10:30 actually. And we can play later because they can stay open later. And I get a lot of people that come in at 9, and everybody gets a chance to play. And they have some pretty good beer there too, and a wide range of mighty fine tasting beer and all that. But also I've been doing trying to think. There's a place in Collinsville. It's called the Lucky Fox. That just opened up and started playing there. I only played there once, and they were going to have me there every second and fourth Wednesday. But then all this stuff came down with everybody had to shut down.
Yep, I was waiting for you to get to it. I knew we'd eventually have to bring it up. I know everybody's even tired of hearing the word COVID-19, but that's shut down everything, and it's been pretty tough for you here lately, huh?
Yeah, it's not been fun because I've had, I think, 18 or 19 gigs in April that I missed out on, and I actually just got back from San Antonio last night. Had a chance to play down there. You know, couple places. Everything shut down there. I was there for 2.5 weeks, but my son and my daughter-in-law there, they just had their first child, my first grandchild. So in February, it was fun to just sit down there and kind of take it easy, and they wanted me down there because they wanted to make sure that I was quarantined. They didn't try me from not running around. Yeah. I mean, it was a big deal, like, you got to get down here because we got to babysit Dad, so it's, and, then I drove, then it's easy. It was, stayed at a hotel in Oklahoma, the same one, my mask and latex gloves and stuff. So, I mean, I can't afford to take a chance, at that ripe age, and I've had a couple of heart attacks, so it's like, I don't need to take a chance, so.
I guess the toughest, the toughest thing for a lot of guys is we don't know what's next. I mean, we've already kind of locked down, and we're getting into that heavy now, and we're thinking, okay, so what's next, and when can we start, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I've talked to a couple of folks, and everybody's bummed out about it. Some people don't think we'll be able to start playing out till September, and then Alan and I were talking tonight, and we're thinking some gigs, if they let us play the outside places like Copper Dock and Shell Lake and Grant's Farm, we could do, because it's big open air, and we don't have to even be around anybody. There's areas where we set up, and I mean, the only time we would have to get close to anybody if we used a restroom, so it's, so it's just, but it's kind of scary to kind of play in some of the smaller bars and stuff, because people are 3 to 4 feet away from you, and for me, it's not worth it. I can't afford to take a chance, but I want to, because I have, this is probably I booked so much for April, May. I mean, the whole summer, I booked over 150 gigs for this year already. So it's like, I'm ready to play. I was ready to play. I've been ready to play. I had a couple anxiety attacks over it, but I finally figured it out. But just trying to, I don't know, maybe it's kind of weird in a weird way. It's kind of like maybe I needed to slow down, and rethink a few things and regroup. So, and also I got to spend some really, really great time with my son and my daughter-in-law, my little baby Luke, and my wife and I are going to be heading back down there in a couple of weeks, so it's
that's cool. That's cool.
But man, I'm so ready to play.
Finding positive things with all the negativity, and that's been the advice most of the musicians who we've talked to during this are going with. Just find something positive to do in the downtime and take advantage of it. Maybe.
I've been trying to chart out some new songs. I've been trying to write a little bit, but I can't. I can get started, but I can't finally get anything really, really done. It's kind of weird. I kind of I don't know what's wrong. I can't finally make it happen, but I find myself practicing a lot, and I've done, I guess, maybe 4 or 5 Facebook Live shows, but I'm afraid I'm burning people out on that. It's like, I was trying to do something every Saturday, and I mean, a lot of people are doing it, and I've only been trying to keep my shows to maybe an hour and 15 minutes, at the max, and sometimes I think that's too long, and people are asking if I didn't do one last Saturday. But,
if people want to find those, where can they look you up?
They can always check it out, because I have them posted and saved on my Facebook.
Search for Butch Moore on there. Is that the best?
Yep, Butch Moore. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then I also have a website. I don't have anything. I have some songs recorded on my website. It's just butchmoremusic.com, and a bunch of pictures, and it has my schedule and stuff. So where I'm at, But yeah, it's just, I'm ready to play out.
Can I make a suggestion for you on your time spent here during the lockdown, the quarantine? You should write a book on the Stagger Inn. All the years you played there, waiting tables there, you got all this recorded information. Just saying.
It would be kind of cool. I actually told somebody I had all these tapes, and he goes, "God, I would love to help you get this all organized and burned." And one of the girls that she was doing a Facebook Live show, and And a bunch of friends that were listening to her, all these girls used to come up and sing and play. And I said, man, I've got all you guys on stuff from 1990, 1991, 92, and they about fell over. I didn't know that they had it. They want copies, and we're all excited. Right. And the thing is, it's kind of fun because open mic is, I used to have lately it's been pretty musical, but I mean, occasionally people want to do poetry. I've had magicians. I've had, people come up and break dance. I've had people rapping. Yeah, I've had everything. I've had people act out parts of plays and stuff through the years. And my favorite magician one, and his name was Steve, and I actually believe that he got killed in an automobile accident back in the 90s. But he would come up doing magic card stuff. It would be like crazy. You have an orange and the card you picked would end up in the center of this orange, and cut it open. Like, I don't know how he did this stuff. But he was coming up, and the first time he did it, he had like 2 people. He brought 100-foot of rope that he bought at Kmart, and they tied him up, and he got out. So he came back a couple of weeks later, wanted to do it, and he goes, okay, want 2 volunteers to tie me up this 100-foot of rope from Kmart. So my brother and I tied him up, and you timed it, and so he can untie himself in the amount of time that you took him to tie him up. And we had to go get a knife from the kitchen and cut him out. It was. I felt so bad for him. But I mean, we've had
another thing that happens at a lot of open mic nights is bands are formed. In other words, 4 guys who've never played together and now are standing next to each other on stage, and the magic happens. And
that has happened a couple of different times,
And all of a sudden, Big George Brock Jr. is playing harp with you, right?
Hey, that's it, Big George, yeah. Big George.
Or John Mongan playing lead guitar,
Yeah. And I've had some of those guys, come in and, like, they're there, they play, like, come up and play, Jason Cooper comes in, so well, you might as well sit in and play. And Dana Anderson, another great singer-songwriter, comes up and plays, and, just, a lot of fine musicians around, I mean, we're really, really lucky. I think but I traveled so much, and there's good musicians everywhere, but man, this area, it's like, I can't believe it. Even the young kids and the older folks, and a lot of music has happened here, and I people my age, I think, are mainly was the Mississippi River Festival days and stuff, MRF, and Arlo Guthrie came into Stagger, so
oh, wow.
After a show, but I mean, we grew up at MRF, for $2 lawn seats, and I saw Janis Joplin there for $2, so.
Grateful Dead,
exactly.
Yeah.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Yes, Coco, Dave Mason, the Who.
God, I wish it was still happening.
Oh, it was.
They need to bring that back.
It was a good deal. It was, and we would even go out there on on Wednesday nights they had the St. Louis Symphony, but we would all go there because all of us would meet, and at that time period, in the early 70s, it seemed like everybody played guitar and was singing it. We'd had our guitars in the car, and we'd go play music at SIU stairwells. So we would get in the communication building, they would play 2 or 3 guitar players, and you'd have 30 people that would sit around the steps up to the top and listen, and nobody tore anything up, and nobody bugged us, and it was just a different time. I don't think they would allow you to do that now because some idiot wants to get on TV and they have a camera on their phone, and they'll want to do something with a trash can and all kinds of crazy crap and ruin it.
I love to hear from a guy like you that's been around for a long time reiterate what me and Pigpen talk about quite a bit on here, and that is how much talent we have in this area that most folks don't realize until you get out and start hitting some of these places, and you'll be amazed at what you'll see. And
they're really, really, really good. They're better than anybody, I think, coming out of Nashville and making it big. I hear these guys like, are you kidding me? Really? That people that win American Idol and The Voice, like, okay, you guys are good, but it's just like, I hear people on my Sunday night open mic night that are equally as talented as these people. You know, they are. They really are. You're like, my goodness gracious, you guys are good. And it's just, we're really lucky, you know, and a lot of young talent. I get a big kick now is, it kind of reminds me of the 70s of the last couple of years, because of the younger kids that are coming out singing Neil Young and the songs that I really liked at that time period. I'm like, where are you guys? You know, because it kind of went through a phase where it was a kind of a different type of acoustic music, but it's kind of going back to, I guess it's doing the full circle thing again, coming around. But I'm impressed with a lot of the young kids that are playing. You know, it's encouraging. You know, it really is. There's a lot of good music out there.
Absolutely.
You know,
man, thanks so much for doing that for so many years and giving so many people a chance to get up, encouraging so many people, because I love to encourage people who've never touched an instrument. Pick it up and play it. It's not that hard. There's only 12 notes. It's not even that hard to do. You know? And what you're doing, talking about encouraging people to get up for the first time, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I continue to do that, you know, and it's kind of, it's like a guitar, you know, it's like how everybody approaches it, you know, it always amazes me, like what you can get out of that piece of wood. It's like, and different way people interpret it. That's always just like, I mean, I hear some young kids, I go, man, I have to go home and practice now, because how the hell did you do that? You know? So, and I always listen to everybody that plays and comes up and plays, regardless of their ability, you know, and my job really is I always listen to my PA to make sure I can tweak it to make them sound good. You know, if some EQ's off, I've got to adjust it and make it work, you know. So I try to do my best as I can.
Well,
sometimes I think I do better than others.
Definitely giving musicians an opportunity up there at the Stagger Inn, and we appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us about it. We got a little inside joke with you that you probably don't realize. Each week we announce the gigs around the area, and when we get to the Stagger Inn, if the chalkboard hasn't been updated on Facebook, we're like, hey, we need to get a hold of Butch and tell him to put the picture up of the chalkboard so we know who's playing.
You can do that. Just do it. I know that it's sometimes the people up there, like, you got to, like, really, it's been up here for 2 weeks. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Or the chalkboard in the front. Those guys are here again. You know what the heck?
But the reason we know you, Butch, is because of that open mic. You've been there 35 years, and like I said, we've rubbed elbows with you. We know Butch is up there at the Stagger Inn, so that's why we bring you up as the guy that needs to help us out.
Hey, let me know. I'll call up there and say, who the heck is free to do the chalkboard? Take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And Bree's been trying to she's been doing better. So I think they had different people that were doing it, you know, and then Bree finally took over and started doing it. So she's been of late. She's been keeping it updated.
Yeah, it's been outstanding. It's usually right at the beginning of the month when you have to change it over, and we're in between, you know, where it's not quite finished and the new one can't go up yet. So
I'm partially to blame on that, because sometimes I don't get it. Who's all playing, you know? And at the time, it used to be because I was traveling so much, and I would have to go, crap, I'm in a hotel. I got to get this to Janet or Bree and here, you know, or Bobby when he was working up there, and get them. But yeah, I've been actually putting things on their calendar in the back like 2 months in advance, because I you know, so they have it there, and I don't have to worry about texting everything when I'm in the middle of something else either. So besides the open mic night, you said you booked some of the happy hour. Do you book anything else up at the Stagger, or just those 2 slots? Just those 2 slots. I think Bree's booking the bands now up there and stuff, and yeah, I like the happy hour stuff. I'm more familiar with all the people that I kind of what I try to do is, I mean, people that continue to come up open mic that I think are really good, I give them a gig so they get some money out of it too. You know,
right.
I mean,
so I would imagine the advice to bands that want to get in the Stagger Inn is probably go to the open mic night first and introduce yourself, right?
I've had some bands do that, yeah, and even though I don't book the bands, but Bree's pretty good about sometimes, you know, if they have music, she listens to their stuff, and also But a lot of bands have come up and played, and everybody goes, "Oh shoot, we got to get them up here on a band night." And Bree's there, and she'll book them, So, and yeah, and Janet, she would do the same thing when she was doing it because they were there on Sunday nights.
Nice.
And I also actually, for my farmers market that I book at the Goshen Market, I actually have a lot of musicians that play the market that want to play the market, and they'll come up and play a Sunday to get to the market. And that's what they tell them, because it's hard for me to go out because I play so much. I can't go out, well, I'm playing here, 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 and here. Well, I'm already playing 5 nights this week. I can't. And then a night that I'm not playing, I usually, sometimes I will go out and listen to music, but a lot of times I stay at home. You're like, oh, good, I'm home.
Take a break. What night's the market on, or what day?
That's a Saturday morning from 8 o'clock till noon a.m.
Where they do that at?
On the courthouse steps in Edwardsville.
Wow, that'd be cool to play.
Yeah, and then music is 9 to noon, and the market is supposed to start. Actually, it was supposed to start. I don't know if it was today or next. Might have been. Well, it might have been Saturday. It was supposed to be our first one, but with all this stuff, they're not going to have anything going. And they're having a meeting this week with the city of Edwardsville, and going to find out when the city is going to let them open the market. And it might not be until June. And they're saying that they probably might not have any music until a little bit later. And so we're not sure yet.
Yeah, well, a lot of bad news coming from this quarantine, but good news too, because it's hard to catch up with a guy like Butch Moore, and we were able to do that tonight on Riverbend Talent. We've been wanting to have you for a long time because we know the legend of the Stagger Inn Again, and it's a great legend, and we know you've been a huge part of that all these years, and that's very important to all the musicians around the Riverbend. And once again, we thank you a lot for everything you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's the acoustically perfect Stagger Inn, where we do get naked every Sunday night at 11 o'clock, So it's the one thing that we always do, It's not pretty.
Search for Butch Moore on Facebook, and the website again?
ButchMooreMusic.com.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations on the grandchild.
Thank you so much. He's adorable.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate
Thanks so much for being with us, Butch.
You bet. I appreciate it.
All right. We've been talking to Butch Moore, and you're listening to Riverbend Talent, brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance.
All right.